I'm here with Jaclyn's book tag. I was kindly tagged by Doris from Aldi Books. And this is the burden of proof tag that Britta created to congratulate and celebrate our friend Jaclyn from 6 Minutes for Me passing the Texas bar exam. I mean, that is something beyond anything I can imagine doing. It is so much work and I am just so happy for Jaclyn. So I was so excited to join in on this tag and be a part of saying congratulations in our own booktube kind of way. I don't hang out with tags very much, and the reason is because I have a terrible memory. So I was challenged in replying to some of these questions, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I certainly couldn't have passed any kind of exam with the memory that I have. So in awe of you, Jaclyn. You rock. So the first question is Billable Hours, which is a book where money plays a central role. Now this is a bit of a bizarre response, but my first reaction was In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. So this is a true crime story. If you have lived under a rock and don't know what it's about, it's a true crime story about two men who go and murder a family. And it's about the story of how they did it, and it's heartbreaking. The reason they go to this family's house in the first place is because they've been told there's a load of cash there. And for me, that was kind of a motive that kept popping up. So as you read through the book, and I won't give anything away, but I'm sure a lot of people have read this book, you are constantly trying to work out why they did what they did. When it's explained to you how they did it, oh my gosh, it crushes everything in you. So then you, as a rational person, are constantly trying to work out why they did it. And I kept coming back to that motive of money. And I kept trying to use that as a way to justify what they did. So for me, that money theme was really prominent in my reading of this book. Bit bizarre, I know, but that's what I thought of. The second question has words that I'm not going to say right. So it's Pacta sunt servanda. All you legal people out there, I don't know. But it's a modern classic with a legal twist. I struggled with this one. Firstly, what's a modern classic? Some say after the wars. I don't really know. And secondly, I don't read law books. I don't. I've been scarred by John Grisham, let me tell you. All I could think of were the Sherlock Holmes books, and they were published at the start of the 1900s. The Hound of the Baskervilles is my favourite. I certainly haven't read them all just yet, but that's all I could come up with for this question. I really urge everyone to read Sherlock Holmes. It's a lot of fun. It's very cleverly done. I enjoy these, and they're short little stories. If you haven't ever picked up Sherlock Holmes but are always wondering about it, do it now, because they're really fun to read. Anyway, it doesn't really fit the question, but there's my Sherlock Holmes tip for you. The third question is Construction Law, and that's a book that dazzled me with its complex nature, and for that, I chose Flames by Robbie Arnott. It seems like every tag or response to questions I have to do has to involve this book because it's one of my favourites ever. This book has a bit of magical realism in them. Lots of life given to nature, to trees and to rivers and creeks and animals along the way. And I think the complex nature for me is trying to interpret that. So I don't do magical realism very well. I always need to pull things back to what makes sense to me, and with a very rational mind. I don't delve into other worlds very easily. So this book was really enjoyable, really easy to read and amazing. But for me, the complexity came from just pulling everything together and trying to make sense of it in my mind. Question 4 is the Franklin Rule of Evidence, and that is a book with an unreliable narrator. And the first book that jumped into my head was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. The woman narrator, who never gets a name, drove me up the wall. And I think maybe I've interpreted this question as narrators that really annoyed me, but for me, the unreliability in this woman came from the difference between how she saw herself and how she really acted. So when she was describing situations or explaining herself, she appeared to be very strong and independent and very sure of herself. And then when she got into certain situations, she was completely inept, completely bamboozled, and so annoying with her lack of courage. So by the end of it, I just didn't trust what she was saying about herself or what she was saying about what was happening around her. Can you just tell I did not like that book? Yeah, that's one of those popular books that I just did not get along with. Question 5 is a book with a strong female character. Right, I've got a few answers for this question because I love the strong female characters. I remember them. The first one is Helen in the Spare Room. This book is about Helen, whose friend is dying of cancer, and her friend comes and stays with her while she undergoes some experimental treatment that's obviously a load of rubbish. And the strength in Helen is how she supports her friend through the sickness and watching such an amazing woman in her friend just die in front of her eyes, which is incredibly, like, that takes incredible strength. Another aspect of Helen's strength is when she kind of calls her friend out for her shit. So her friend is completely handing all of this money over to these people that aren't helping her, and Helen has to really try and convince her friend that she doesn't need to go through this, and she does that in a way that is respectful. And yeah, I just think that that relationship was really amazing, and it was driven by the character of Helen. So that's one answer. The next answer is Jaclyn in The Standing Chandelier. I loved this woman. This woman lives out of society's boundaries. She makes art that is terrible, but she loves doing it. She doesn't pursue a career. She doesn't want a family. She lives with hardly any money. She doesn't own a house. She just lives the way that she wants to live, and she has the strength to stay on that path because she gets hit with a lot of criticism. She has a platonic friendship with a man that she's known forever, and then this man meets a woman and gets married. And the flack that she gets from this man's wife is unbelievable. The criticism, the judgment is disgusting, and all the time Jaclyn sticks with the way that she wants to live. And I loved reading about her, and yeah, she really inspired me. It was a great book. Really loved it. And then I can't answer a question about strong female characters without talking about my hero, Amory Ames. This is a really easy to read kind of cozy mystery series that I love. Amory is an amateur sleuth and always finds herself in the middle of crazy mysteries. But she has this marriage that's really unconventional. Her husband is a socialite, and he loves to be in the papers, and he's always out and about doing things that maybe good husbands wouldn't be seen doing. And the way that Amory Ames is able to stand up proud despite all of that, despite all of the sniggers behind her back, and the way that she's able to handle her husband while remaining an independent woman and not being influenced by it is very cool. I take that from these books, as well as the funny mysteries. Anyway, I love that series. I couldn't answer a question about strong women without talking about Amory. Question 6 is Grand Jury, and that is a book with a grand set of characters. And of course that has to be Madeline Miller's books, which I'm obsessed with at the moment. So Song of Achilles with all of the great warriors fighting the Battle of Troy. And then Circe, the woman herself, and all of the gods that float in and out of her world, the amazing mortals that arrive on her island, and even the grand lions that she surrounds herself with. I'm completely obsessed with Madeline Miller's books right now. I cannot wait for another one to come out. I don't know when that's going to happen. Hopefully it'll be a book with another grand set of characters, who knows. Question 7 is Malpractice, and it's a book that you liked that featured a character that you did not like. It says preferably a professional, but my pick is A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. It had to be this book. Morris Swift is the most disgusting man I've ever met in a book. He is horrible. And he's not a little bit horrible. He's seriously horrible. He wants to be a professional. He wants to be a professional writer, and he sucks onto accomplished writers and tries to feed off them and does just absolutely out of this world horrible things to just get to the top. I have never read a book where I despised the main character so much and loved the book so much. I really, really recommend this book. It is a fantastic read, even though Morris is a complete ass. And then we go on to bonus questions, and I'm not going to get many bonuses here because question 8 was a South African author that you love. I've not read a South African author. How disgusting, isn't it? I don't think I have anyway. And then question 9 is a book about animals in an unusual setting, and I don't read animal books. Well, I haven't so far. I'm sure there's some to come. All I could think of was this. H is for Hawk by Helen Macdonald. The unusual setting is the captivity that these hawks face. This is about a woman, it's a memoir. It's about a woman who loses her father and then through her grief trains a hawk. And I was so affected by the way that this hawk was broken in, by the way that his soul was completely destroyed until he became a robot and did the things that she wanted him to do. That was really hard for me to read, and so it may not be an unusual setting, but it's not a nice setting, so I just thought I'd mention that because that's all I could think of. So I've got to tag some booktubers. So I'd love to tag Renee from Renee Pierre, his channel. He's a great Adelaide booktuber. There's Kate from the Novel Nomad. I'd love to tag her. And Anna Bailey Karras. She's another great Aussie booktuber. She also has a great podcast called Books on the Go if you want to check that out. I cannot mention Amory Ames in a tag and not tag my buddy Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading. Kelly and I are reading through the Amory Ames series, so we both love it just as much. So Kelly, if you want to give this a go, and maybe Shan from Shani Reads. Maybe Shan and Bert can come up with some great answers. Okay, congratulations, Jaclyn. This is like the booktube present that we're all giving you. You deserve it. I'm really, really happy for you. And this has been such a nice thing for Britta to create. I hope you enjoy all of the Burden of Proof tag videos that are flying around, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone.